show you about the block, I show you about the work, I show you about the stop. I put you on the squad, I let you do the thing. Let me put you on game, let me put you on game. Come on.
Tonight. I am so glad to be with you. I am so looking forward to tonight's conversation with an incredible woman. She's an actress, she's a comedian, she's an entertainer. She's a woman. She is a global citizen and she speaks her mind. And we've got a
activist.
Activist. Black Lives Matter activist. Yes.
It's all about that. It's all about that.
Isn't it?
It kind of all comes back to Black Lives Matter. I've been thinking about this, but you have a whole intro and go ahead.
Well,
this is
about you, activist, humanitarian, actress, comedian, just all
filmmaker.
Yes.
62 countries.
Yeah,
Watch it tonight, people. Stream it tonight.
Streaming tonight. Okay.
Whatever you want, actually.
Let's talk about that. So after they finish with us tonight, they can go and stream you and show. Yes.
You can see it on Amazon, Apple, Amazon. It's in 62 countries. Apple. I think. What is there any other ones? Hulu Play, Google Play. I think Hulu Play is wrong. I don't think there's a Hulu Play. I think I made that up. Vimeo on demand. Whatever the kids are into. You know, the kids with their tech.
Kathy Griffin, a hell of a story, and what a story. So what is your story? What is your story at this moment? What is your story?
Resistance, speaking up, whether it's comfortable or not, speaking truth to power, standing by brothers and sisters who want to be in something together that can affect change. And hopefully at some point I can help folks get a good laugh, and anytime I can get any kind of a good message across with humor is better. And you know, I'm a news junkie. I worship you. I think you're awesome. I'm really glad you're not in the Rose Garden. April, did you watch even like a minute of it? Okay, all right, I know what this is. This is April going, I'll do it. Okay, hello world. Thank goodness our national treasure, April Ryan, is not in the Rose Garden right now, where there are droplets flying all over with the, you know, who knows what orange makeup he's wearing, and there's maybe a tanning bed in the Oval Office at this point, I don't know.
There's a tanning bed somewhere. We know there's a tanning bed somewhere.
Maybe multiple tanning beds.
Yeah.
And by the way, he doesn't know that we're not doing the 80s goggles anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's concealer, but there's some blending that needs to happen. All right. But I actually heard that a CNN pulled away, and I guess Wolf Blitzer said something like, we're not going to just air campaign rallies or something, because that's what they are, you know.
Well, at this point, he is running for president, and a lot of this happens to be rallying, as he's not able to go across the country like he wants to and speak without a mask. So that's interesting. But just so you know, and I'm going to get to you in March, because you had me so worried in March. And around that time, I decided not to go back to the White House after I found out that the CPAC people were infected with COVID. I said, many of those people come in and out of the White House, and I'm someone who has underlying issues. I'm not even going to get into those issues. And I'm a divorced mother of 2 kids I've got to raise by myself. I cannot afford that.
Of course not, nor should you have to, because of his whatever bizarre denial or whatever is going on with his current mental illness. And I'm being nice. And, you know, I think, though, it's so important that we need you in the epicenter of the thought consciousness ring that we're going around and journey that we're on, because with your experience and history and bona fides, and then being brought right up to the craziness you personally experienced in that room, and we'll see what situation you go back to and whatever that is, and none of us know any of our workplace situations at this time, but right. Is there any part of you that it's at least thinking, you know, I don't have to smell that room today. One day I don't have to smell. What is the smell? Because I keep hearing it's bad. I mean, even on like the West Wing, they would talk about that. Is it like a body odor? meets.
It's a bunch of people crammed into a very small space. It does not look like or resemble by any stretch the West Wing, people running around. It's a very small space, and we're there all day. So
have you gone to any of the ones where it's Kylie McEnany?
No, I watch her. I have not gone. I am not ever since the beginning of March. I have been here. I have been reporting and breaking news from here. So because it is not safe. It is not safe. It is not safe. Secret Service are getting sick. You've got members in the White House staff getting sick. I mean, it's
what happened to those guys? Like, remember when they said the president's butler, which I didn't know he had, but like, is that person okay? Is it a male, female? I don't know who this person is. Are they okay? Is Mark Meadows, is he flush with color? Is he okay? Is he sweaty? And we'll get to his moral compass later, but I just want to know who's like dropping dead over there, who's on a ventilator, and how does Trump not get it? I'm just going to say it. How does Trump not get it?
So here's one thing, Kathy, here's one thing that I will say. They have changed the regulations of testing at the White House. So from what I'm told you, when you come in, you don't get the thermometer test anymore. But if you come in close proximity to the president, you do get the COVID test. So there could be people, and a lot of people are asymptomatic. It's not safe. So we find out, there are people who are not leakers, but whistleblowers who give us information. And there are a lot of people who are very afraid right now. Anytime you have Ivanka Trump walking around with a mask before her father did, when he took that picture, picture when he walked across the street, she was wearing a mask. It's telling you it's a serious situation. She was wearing a mask, a black mask, as they were walking across the street.
Was it coordinated with the dunce cap, or was that a separate?
Oh, come on.
Did I say that? And what about Tiffany, the car model? I mean, the car modeling industry has really slowed down, and that poor Tiffany has to make a living. Remember when she was missing? Remember when Tiffany was missing? Isn't that Marla's kid? Didn't Tiffany live in like a condo in the marina with Marla for like years? That's when, first time I met him, he was on a show I was on called Suddenly Susan, and he showed up with Marla. She was a showgirl. And the Donald was complaining, as he's wont to do, about why he had like one line on an episode. It was the craziest scene. It was myself, Andre Agassi, John McEnroe, Mayor Willie Brown, and Donald Trump at a poker game. So, the 90s, a lot happened. And I remember him distinctly like trying to yell at like the head of Warner Brothers for not sending a private jet for him to come do his 2 lines on a, nice milquetoast sitcom. But he was with Marla at the time before he switched her out for the new model.
But when you talk about the Trump kids, one question that I really would like to ask the press secretary, particularly the president of the United States, as you're pushing for America.
Hold on. Did you say the president? You said Donald Trump is the president? Sorry.
So again, as I would like to ask questions of the president of the United States, or even the White House press secretary, but particularly the president, as he's sending or wanting to send America's children back to school. Do you want your son, your school-age son, to go back to a classroom? That's my question. First
of all, April, he's never met Barron. I don't know if you know this. He just heard about him during the campaign trail. So I don't know if he's parent of the year. I will say, though, that none of my girlfriends with kids want their kids to go back to schoolrooms. Some of them are ambivalent and stopping the learning process and the typical scholastic, process we all went through and stuff. So, he's still out of tune. But I have to say, I can't imagine that he has any compassion for anyone, even his own kid. And I know that's hard to imagine, but remember, this is also a man who has no complaints about, sending soldiers to Afghanistan and in Iraq and, putting bounties on their head. And I'm so glad that story is staying around because it's so important. And, the idea that would happen and that he would not, I mean, whatever the deal is with Putin, how many P-tapes are there? I mean, are there, all right. So obviously he's not afraid of the P-tape anymore, but the idea that he would worry about anyone. I mean, I think you saw the former, I don't know his name. You know all the stuff. The dude that was DeVos and Obama. That guy.
Arnie
White guy, gray
Duncan.
hair.
Arnie
Yes.
Duncan.
Did you
Yeah.
see him on the
former
on the news?
education secretary?
Former education secretary. Did you see him yesterday on the news where he just looked in the camera? It was great because he's from home. So, you know, we're all a little bit more ourselves at home. I know I am. Anyway, he was saying, you know, Donald Trump doesn't care about you. He doesn't care if you live or die. Do not listen to him about COVID. Listen to your local leaders. Follow your local news, you know. And it sounds like a startling thing. And to have a secretary say something that radical is true. So that's, I think, one of the places where we are. We have to start to realize, you know, the things that are actually true and can be proven with the accidental president, as I call him, because it's an accident, April. He wasn't supposed to win. He bought it, or there's a GRU. I know more about the GRU than I ever needed to. Let me just say that. But obviously, they have their hand in it. Maybe there's, I don't know, somebody from the government of Moldova. You know, the Eastern Bloc countries, I don't know what their hand is in this, but he's real tight with them. And, you know, the idea that we have a president who may not care if you live or die is something I think people have to accept in a bizarre way. Because I think if you don't accept it, the more we try to treat this guy like he's a human, you know, he's not a human. And the reason I say that is he doesn't see people as humans. So it's okay to go, all right, you know, we need to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before we try to figure him out.
3.43 million people.
Yeah.
Confirmed cases.
Yeah. Not to mention the army of conspiracy theorists working diligently day and night to convince you and I that, you know, this is a hoax. It's a hoax. And I will say, I'm like struggling with my feelings about human nature at all, that people could be so easily indoctrinated. I feel his followers are not dissimilar from Scientologists or any other cult that we've read about, you know. This guy is like President Warren Jeffs. How about that? Let's think about it that way. If I can make a paradigm shift, it's, you know, the only thing, not the only thing, but one of the things actually that does give me hope about Black Lives Matter and any movement that can make people think in a different way and get them, you know, to whether they're, you know, dealing with these issues online and reaching out to folks online because of COVID and getting into the streets. I think that though that is sort of a hopeful thing to say, okay, this is it. People are, you know, once somebody said to see these moms get off their Facebook groups and go actually protest is great. And now I think our job just as Americans is to talk to people about the difference between protesting and what some people think is illegal. So for example, the dude who was shouting at DeSantis yesterday, and by the way, you know, I'll say anything, and I'm evil, I'm going to hell in a handbasket anyway. What is Ron DeSantis eating? Like $5 bags of cheese puffs an hour? Like what's, I mean, he's eating his feelings, April. And
Miami, Florida is the epicenter of COVID.
Well, he just ate Miami, Florida. Have you seen him? None of his suits fit. He's a wreck. But anyway, I love the guy who protested and he yelled at him at the conference. And I hope Americans understand what he did is legal. You know, so people like the Republicans want that guy arrested or the right wingers. You're allowed to go to see one of your representatives and verbally confront them.
Yeah. And people were questioning me about the fact that how dare you ask a question of the president? Hello, the founding fathers put the press in the Constitution, the First Amendment.
Do we still have that? I'm just checking. Because Ruth Bader Ginsburg, what do we need to send to RBG? She's in the hospital.
Here in Baltimore, Johns Hopkins.
Can we send plasma? Is that too personal?
Send her well wishes. The doctors, send her
for
well
real. Like
when
really.
you think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, what do you think of? What's your first?
Oh, I mean, idol, badass, the petite dynamo, you know. But also, don't we all want to be that sharp, you know, at her age? And I mean, obviously, she's, you know, we're not all SCOTUS nominees yet, huh? All right, but I think. You know, it's once again, I'm trying to look for silver linings. I love that so many young women are inspired by her and know who she is. I like that even though the right wing, in my opinion, has tried to weaponize the Supreme Court and they have been effective, that's a frightening thing. The only good thing I can think of is a lot more Americans and a lot more of my pals that maybe wouldn't be having conversations about, you know, SCOTUS members are. And I'm really glad about that. My dad used to test me on this silly thing. He could name SCOTUS in order of their appointments. So he's, you know, so I've always like had that little thing, like always know the members of the Supreme Court, who appointed them. And that was even in the day where they may have actually been nonpartisan, apolitical. So, you know, now we got Rapey McGee, and then I don't like the Gorsuch, by the way, just because he's quiet and can like brush his hair and doesn't sweat as much as the Rapey one, Kavanaugh. You know, that guy doesn't fool me either. Allegedly, that's covered by the First Amendment, April. I have no job to be fired from.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. You are a big critic of President Trump. We wouldn't have figured that by just your conversations, but you have really gone.
You mean the president that had me federally investigated by 2 federal agencies, the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Secret Service, and they interrogated me under oath as they were considering charging me with conspiracy to assassinate the President of the United States, which holds a lifetime sentence. Continue.
And they said you wanted to assassinate him because of the artwork. Some people think it's in art. It was inartful. Other people think it was art, and it was comic humor that you had of the president. How after that? How have these 3.5 years gone for you? Was it what you expected, or was it worse than you imagined?
It was both. It wasn't what I expected because, you know, what happened to me, like it or not, was historic at the time. So at the time when that happened, I was, in fact, and I checked this out with, you know, Ted Boutros and a lot of my very very accomplished First Amendment attorneys. By the way, my attorneys are very busy, April. They're very busy bees, and I got a totally. Oh yes, yes, and you know, I have eyes on me like I never have before for a little old D-lister like myself. And, you know, in my act, I have always talked about stuff that's happened to me personally. And so for me to make fun of the Donald, because I've known the Donald off and on for 25 years, like I said, ever since that episode of Suddenly Susan, and, you know, he would show up at the opening of an envelope. So if you're kind of a living, walking person in show business, you're going to run into that guy. In some events, I think he would sneak to. Like there were times I'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" But you know, he loves the spotlight. And Melanie was usually quiet during those events. Oh, you know what? I call her Melanie because he called her that in a tweet one time. He wished the first lady well, Melanie. And then, you know, he doesn't really correct the spelling or can read. Now, has he had like are we sure he can read?
I know he likes bullet points, and if he does that with his intelligence briefings every day.
I love that you live in a world where you think he knows what intelligence briefings are. And I love that we are in an election where Joe Biden just has to tweet, I read the PDB every day. I'm like, oh, wow, great. Not so much on Trump's radar. But, oh wait, I just had an idea for a joke. So as I'm watching Cooley McInerney, I'm thinking, how long is it until he just takes like Miss West Virginia from the pageant days, and the press secretary is just in a glittery bikini with the sash, and then, you know, that's it. That's all we got. So I'm just saying, I know it sounds outrageous now. Mark my words. I would not take it off the table for pride. You know, there just might be one of the pageant gals. All right.
My cheeks hurt.
My brain hurts. My soul hurts from this administration. No, this here, I made a film out of it. Kathy Griffin held the story. So there's the good news. And it was tougher because honestly, I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. Yeah. It was an investigation that was carried through. So while it's insane that we have a president who's threatening to investigate Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, etc., he really did with me. And it cost me a lot of money and a lot of time, and it was a very fearful time, and I still have, you know, threats. And I'm oh, by the way, I don't know, are you thrown into this Wayfair conspiracy?
I'm in every conspiracy they can think of.
Wait, so it's you, me, and Hillary Clinton. What are we doing? We're killing babies at Pizzagate, and then we go to Wayfair. Is Wayfair a furniture store?
I think so, online. Now I don't even know about that one, but I mean they've said I've been accused of everything but bearing the baby Jesus. I don't pay any attention to it anymore. I'm just a reporter doing my job, and I have been accused of so much just because I ask questions that people are afraid to ask.
April, there's one other reason. You're black, April. They're coming for you. They are coming for you. You heard me.
When did I turn black? Oh my.
The minute Trump laid his eyes on you, you've never been blacker in his eyes, and he was like, "Uh-oh, she's got to go." So, you know, I might be a lesser pigmented sister, but I'm a sister. You're right. Hey, any pigment he has problem with. So
That's true.
you know, that is also a frightening thing to my white lady bleeding liberal heart, because I feel there's nothing I can do about this issue, and I want to be an ally, and I want, oh, here's one of my fantasies. And I don't know, with COVID, I'm quarantining, trying to be good. You know, I'm kind of dying to run into those Karens. Like, you know, oh yes, or Chad. And by the way, one of them might be one of my cousins. Oh, April, one of my cousins went on the Glenn Beck tour of Israel. Just for now, it might be okay to socially distance from your certain relatives, if you know what I'm saying.
Physically distance. I let me tell you something. The relatives that I don't like, they know. When I was getting death threats, they didn't call. I didn't call them to tell them where to find the masks. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Bye.
Girls, right. Bye. And that's another thing. This crazy era, it actually gives us some clarity. You know, I mean, it's a very stark to me. I'm going to be honest, and people are going to say I'm judgmental and all this stuff. I can't talk to anybody I know that voted for Trump, because it's no longer I voted for this party and this is your party. I really feel strongly, if you voted for Trump and you're still with him, you're buying into a whole level of racism, sexism, misogyny, you're buying into the whole thing. And you think there's two sides to Charlottesville. And I cannot be sold on that ever. So fine, I will, as my mother used to say, go to hell in a handbasket, because I am not a strong enough person to listen to those folks and deal with their nonsense. And I don't want to talk to them about QAnon. April, who's Q? Am I Q? Are you Q? Who's Q?
Whoever Q is, I don't know. But anyway,
I hope that you don't have to even explain to people what QAnon is, because I still can't even figure it out.
This stuff has gone so far. Instead of it's just conspiracy theory, naming groups, giving groups, pinning things. It's too much. It's politics is about people. It's about humanity. Let's not create things that cause humanity to break apart, and that's what's happening right now.
I think you just said something really brilliant, which you often do. But politics is about humanity, and I think that this administration, and I think unfortunately the Donald innately knows this, he is not down with humanity, the concept of humanity. Everything that makes us part of humanity or human goes against, is antithetical to whatever he is trying to do.
It's empathy, empathy for others, and he lacks that. So, but and with that said, I want to ask you. You mentioned Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And you talk about you down with the cause. You're a sister from another mister. But
I want to be. I'm not invited to the cookout. I have raisins.
Oh, you know, you are invited to the cookout. You are. You got to bring your potato salad with you now.
Okay, but you know, no currants, no raisins. I get it.
No. Maybe a little cranberry, some dried cherries, a little cranberry, and you know, a little whole foodish. We can kind of do that. But Joe Biden and his running mate. We've got 5 potentials, and tell us who you think.
A black woman. I don't care which one.
Really? Why not?
I'm like I said, I'm a political junkie. All the white ladies are great and qualified. I get it. Please, Joe Biden. What is he, Uncle Joe or Nice Guy Joe or whatever? Please, you know, we got enough with, let's face it, he's another old white guy. You know, God love him. But, you know, the point is, I think the VP is more important than it's ever been. And I say that with someone who deals with a lot of ageism in her career. So I think the VP pick is essential, because for me, it's kind of like, I didn't pick Biden. I like him. I get it. You know, whatever Professor Hill says is fine with me. If she's going to vote for him because she understands that, you know, Trump is worse than the unknown of Biden. And I watched the interview. I was upset she did an interview with RT. What's that about?
Yeah, I saw you that you were saying that it was
Russian television, state television.
You were saying, I saw you say that, don't do this. They're not serious. I'm with you. I'm so.
Well, you know their game. They throw in like a legit interview every so often to fool you, and then they get right back to the, you know, good old Russian
conspiracy theories and all that stuff.
Yeah. But no, I am very hopeful, and I'm a little fearful he will pick a white lady. And I know he made the joke yesterday about Valerie Jarrett, and they're sort of saying it was a gaffe, and she was on the call, and I love her for saying, you know, there's press on the call, Joe. But you know, I'm pulling for all the Black ladies, and I usually say women of color, but now Black Lives Matter. My Black friends are saying we want to be Black now. I'm like, whatever. But I think that it's so time and so beyond time as a woman. I'm like, come on.
I'm gonna pin you down. I'm gonna pin you down to this.
Okay.
Top 5: Kamala, Elizabeth Warren, Susan Rice, Tammy Duckworth, Val Demings. Which one?
Okay, I'm gonna say, is Warren the only white lady?
No, Tammy Duckworth.
All right. I mean, both of those gals. I like to talk old timey. Both of those gals are fantastic. I mean, I was a Warren fan. I was hoping she was going to be my nominee, and she's not. But you know what? She's also a freaking amazing senator. And one thing I think about a lot is the fact that Mitch McConnell is, in my opinion, the most powerful man in the sorry, I need a barf break. Mitch McConnell. Sorry, I'm back.
Well, okay, I know Tammy Duckworth is not white. She's of color, but I'm lumping her. She's not a Black woman. So, okay, forgive me.
We need a Black woman.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. It's
everyone,
fine.
you hear me? She is not a Black woman.
Right. We have Kamala. We have Senator Harris. We have Congresswoman Dennings, and who's the
Val Demings, Susan Rice, and Kamala Harris.
Rice.
These are Black women, and I know she's Asian American, and unfortunately, you know, she's not a Black woman, so we lump her into the other category. Committee chair. I think one thing that we should learn about this Trump nightmare is these chairperson appointments are so important, and they can be, like I said, Mitch McConnell, in my opinion, is more powerful than Trump, because, you know, I think my fellow Democrats are finally coming around to it's not just up or down on Trump. We have to take the Senate back, or we're going to be back to the bad old days of Barack Obama not being able to get anything through because of that piece of POS, John Boehner. And that one, by the way, what about him going on to make money in the cannabis industry? Hypocrites. And so we have to understand this is the time where, you know, they've had a good run, the right wing and the Republicans are now the far right. Let's stop acting like they're not. I don't want anyone named Lamar Alexander in my world. Okay, that just sounds like a slave owner. Lamar Alexander. I'm uncomfortable. And what is he, like 100? All right, so yeah, he's like 84 or something. So anyway, I think it's time for a Black woman. And here's the good thing: we have an embarrassment of riches. We have so many overqualified Black women in so many positions that have so many areas of expertise and experience, but they all have an incredibly broad base of experience. And that is my experience in the workplace. I mean, just as a woman of a certain age, I have to bring more to the table than my male counterparts. And so obviously it makes sense that Black women have to fight harder, work harder, jump higher. And so we're the lucky ones. We're the recipients of getting someone who is hyper uber qualified. And also we have to have our eyes wide open. We are going to have to defend this woman all the way, because they're going to go for whoever this woman is, and they're going to try to take her out. Any way that they can take her out. You know it. But you know, wouldn't it be amazing if all of the people, all of the top 5, maybe all of the 12, found their way some kind of way in the administration? It would be wonderful if Tammy Duckworth could be the head of VA.
Yes.
She could change that system. How about that?
That is change that does affect every American. And you know, Val Demings having a history in law enforcement. Well, of course, they're doing the whole thing. Same thing with Senator Harris. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we're looking at the voting record and prosecutorial record. Well, guess what? Law enforcement is messy. I come from a family full of cops, racist cops, I may add. It's a messy business. You heard me. My uncle was a bad man.
There's a culture.
Yeah, and it's a bad culture. And when I was a little girl, I grew up thinking that's the way it was. And when I would hear older relatives say the N-word, it would be my parents going, oh, well, that's just your uncle. He's drunk. He had a hard shift at the Chicago PD. Well, now I know better. So I don't have to act like that stuff is okay anymore. And it's not that hard, by the way, just to make your voice heard. There's ways to do it. I do it in a little forceful way, but there's other ways that folks can do it. And I think obviously it would, you know, I have a confession. I'm one of those white people that really thought Obama had such an amazing 8 years. We're on our way. And then it became, I want to see a female president in my lifetime. Now I'm going, okay, we have to have as many Black women in office as possible. And like you said, secretarial positions. And I think the good thing is people are realizing how important those positions are. You know, a lot of people don't know who the HUD secretary was. They didn't know who the Secretary of Education was. How do you ignore Betsy DeVos? I mean, she's great for my act, but I'm just saying, at least, well, they all are. I mean, they really are. But at least in a way, our awareness is up, and it's getting closer and closer to where we kind of needed to be to salvage this country and salvage the republic. And I can't believe I'm saying things like salvage the republic, but that's how we all have to think for the time being, and maybe forever, you know. And this, I think, you know, like, I know it's the conventional wisdom, but we all can see it, that the coronavirus, COVID SARS-19, all the technical terms, it does shine a light on the inequities in this country that are so obvious. And the essential workers do not have a voice. I read about them. I'm sort of obsessed with coronavirus. And so I'm interested in the workers at the Tyson plant. Why don't we get to hear their stories? Right. I want to hear all these stories, and the local stories. Here in Los Angeles, we're seeing a slow and dangerous surge. So a lot of local hospitals are reporting, like, we're almost to capacity. And obviously what's tragic about that is the doctors, nurses, medical workers, they have a prolonged period of trauma, because California doesn't have a spike that then, you know, kind of, as New York did, they were able to wake people up and bring those numbers down. Also, people have to be honest, there's no flattening of the curve. The curve was never flat. It was never flat. So when politicians talk about continuing the flattening of the curve, I got to go, okay, I'm raising my hand. It was never flat. And so, you know, we still have a lot to discuss about the countries that have been dealing with this virus in a more effective way, because they have universal health care. There's not one country that we look at and go, wow, they did a better job than us. They all have universal health care, or government health care, whatever you want to call it. Also, there's also a lot of, you know, non-democracies. So, you know, but it's our job to be a leader. And the fact that we have an administration that seems to want to kill its own citizenry. And I know that sounds bizarre and stark, except it's true. 35,000 dead Americans today?
Yes.
I don't believe that number. And I'm not a conspiracy person. I am just reading and reading and reading, and real news sources. I don't do blogs. I don't do the Breitbart, you know, New York Times, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, urban radio networks, real news organizations that have secondaries and tertiaries. And everyone should know what those words mean, and they should demand that from their sources. And Facebook isn't news. And, you know, the fact that this virus has, you know, put a few things in very clear sort of vectors, you know, so it is tied in with the racism and the misogyny and the ignorance and people not wanting to get involved. Everyone's involved now. And, you know, now it's a matter of our survival. And the weird thing is we're fighting a virus, and we're fighting our own administration at the same time. It's just bizarre. But if this doesn't wake us up, it'll kill us. Well, that's a good soundbite. If this doesn't wake us up, it'll kill us.
It was. It really was.
Tweet that later.
Thank you for helping me for my news for tomorrow, because, you know, I'm taking some of these cuts from Kathy Griffin. You know, So since we're talking about COVID, let's go back to March. What happened to you? What happened?
I got COVID, and what happened was I didn't get the respiratory version. There's sort of a GI version as well.
Yeah, because in your stomach, you had a bad stomach.
Yeah, I came back and I was out of the country, but I don't even think it was that. I don't want to play into that narrative, but it was one of the things that got me into the hospital and into the COVID ward, which is it's a frightening thing, because the door closes and it makes this whoosh sound, and, you know, it's obviously a frightening virus.
It seals you in, pretty much, seals your germ.
Yeah. And yet at that time, I still did not qualify for the coronavirus test when CDC had only 3 guidelines: respiratory, cannot breathe, loss of taste or smell, and I think there was one other one. And so now the symptoms and the actual not symptoms, the byproducts of the illness I had absolutely would qualify anybody for a test. So I was very lucky in that I was able to be treated, and I didn't have to deal with the respiratory stuff or a ventilator. I also would have died because I got what they call dysentery. Oh, hold on here. This is my dog, Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
Okay. Oh wait, that's me.
Hi, Olivia.
My camera work has been better. Anyway, I just want to say that the 4 dogs are here. So I'm that lady. I have 4 dogs. Anyway,
and they make an electronic sound?
No, I'm gonna get hate mail. That's her bark collar. Now hold on, it's not a taser collar. It gives her a noise vibration. And the weird thing is, okay, my husband's laughing. He can't stop laughing at me. And the weird thing is they weren't barking. So I guess I was barking too loud. Like, I think actually my loud, annoying voice could have set off her bark collar. I'm going to look into that later with my therapist. Anyway, and so I
think you need to call the bark collar people to find out.
I know, that's right. Or it could have been the feds, April. I don't know. They could be listening. No, but so I was able to get help because, as you know, you can just die from dysentery, and I sure felt like I was dying, and it was an awful thing. And so it's no problem for me to say, and I think it's important. Anybody who's been through coronavirus, number one, I don't think that it makes me immune. There's nothing to back that up. It's easy for people to say. It's important that people understand there's a coronavirus test and there's a separate antibody test. All the antibody tests have been debunked. There's a show called 60 Minutes, if you don't believe me. And, you know, the experience was memorable in that it hold on.
While she's spinning around looking at her dog, I heard something in the kitchen. I was looking for my dog. Hi, baby.
This is Elliot. That was Olivia. This is she's Olivia Benson. This is Elliot Stabler. They work for the Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Perhaps you've heard of them. And they've got a lot of big cases, so they can't. Elliot, back to work. Go book them, Dano. Anyway, so yeah, the COVID thing, it puts there's a pallor on it that sort of takes over your life, and it made me pay more attention to the virus, of course, and have a respect for everyone that I was able to come across in that experience at the hospital. And you know, it's no joke, and I know people say that a lot, so believe it from your good old friend Kathy, because you know, if nothing else, I'm not afraid to say anything. And I have no desire to act like I'm cool and it was no big deal. It was very, very frightening, and I could not have gotten better if I'd said, what?
Sapphire, I have to groom her since COVID. I've been the groomer. Yes, Sapphire,
come to me.
Sapphire,
come to me through the
potato
screen,
sparkle,
Sapphire.
Beyonce. That's the girl's named her Beyonce. Sapphire, sweet potato sparkle, Beyonce, because of the hair color.
Now, is Sapphire in the Bayhive, or because she has Beyonce?
Sapphire is in the Bayhive, yes.
Okay.
We go, look, who run the world, girls? Yes, that's.
Finally, maybe. Now, how about Beyonce for VP? Is it outside the box?
Let me tell you something. Anything she does, I'm good with. So
yeah.
that's the. So look, so with that said, I want to go. We're gonna laugh and have fun. We have talked about the world. We can't solve it, but we talked about it. But I wanna do a lightning round with you.
Let's go.
Yeah, I want to do a lightning round with you.
Okay.
And
these always get me in trouble. I just want to say I love it because I love being in trouble. Go ahead.
It's gonna get you in trouble, not me.
That's right.
So I want you, as quickly as you can, to give short, whatever comes to your mind, short answer to these names I'm going to give you. Lucille Ball.
Classic legend. You know, redhead. It's one of the reasons I keep my hair red.
Really?
When you think redhead, you think comedian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Genius, groundbreaker, EGOT, does it all. I mean, yeah. I mean, everything. I was exposed to her first when her one woman show was on HBO, and I've been a fan ever since.
Joan Rivers.
I mean, my friend and mentor, and friend first, and also mentor, and one of a kind, and I just miss her every day, honestly. She was when you were alone with Joe. I was gonna say Jada. Oh my gosh, what do you think about that whole thing? Right?
I'm entangled.
Entangled. I want to have an entanglement. Sorry.
I do too. I don't know what
actually. It is. But
I do too.
And then I want to talk about it on TV and have people love me more. Anyway,
yeah,
so Joan Rivers was just my pal, you know.
I want an entanglement.
With?
No!
Me?
No!
What happened?
I'm giving eyes and eyebrows to someone who I want an entanglement.
That was, by the way, that could be like the commercial for the show.
That was my comment. Like, I want an entanglement, so it's COVID conversations.
Right. But it could be I love it. Who wouldn't entangle with you?
Somebody said no. Somebody said Boris Kogo. He's married to a Baltimorean. No, I won't do married men. No.
you. Boundaries.
Boundaries. All right. So Roseanne Barr.
Nazi. She's a Nazi now, I guess. I know her, you know what I mean? I don't know what to say. I don't know. I never knew anybody who was one way and then turned into a Nazi. But she has no love for me, and I think it's a shame, because she was a woman who did accomplish a lot in comedy, and then discovered the Nazi Party. I don't know why.
Mike Pence.
I mean, just, hey girl, you know what I mean? Have you seen the Chief of Staff? I mean, that is a grinder profile waiting to happen. And I say that with love, as an ally to the community. But I think, maybe that's where the anger is from. I don't know. But when you're allegedly banging somebody that you call mother, then you're hitting the bars.
Chuck Woolery.
Oh, I mean, first of all, I met him one time doing Hollywood Squares in the 90s. And I just thought he was a warm and fuzzy TV host. And there's no love connection between us anymore. And America should not have a love connection with him anymore, because it's shocking to me. Because once again, you go, is this a guy that just wanted to be relevant? And so he thought, I'm going to be a white supremacist now. Or was he that way all along? You know what, America, that's my job. Let me figure it out and do it in my next special.
Mitch McConnell.
A criminal, felon, multiple felonies. And the wife, I don't know what the wife's deal is. I don't know how either one of them sleep at night. I don't, I have problems with him. Mitch McConnell is what I kind of call him, but, okay. I would like to piss on him. I just said it. Like you heard me. There's certain people in this administration, people have been talking about the P tape, and sometimes I am managing myself peeing on these men. I have anger issues.
That doesn't sound like anger to me. That's a whole nother thing you got to work out. Nancy Pelosi.
I mean, badass. God love her. She cannot get a break. Like, our team turns on her all the time, and same with Weinstein, my other beloved United States Senator. These women can't get a break. It's either they're criticizing her makeup, and yet she delivers over and over and over. And, one of my issues, I'm going to be 60 in November, and I've been around long enough to know you don't always get what you want the first try. And, I love the progressives. I love AOC. I love Ilhan Omar. I love these women that are, making us think in a more progressive way and getting things done. And I also, you got to admire the way Pelosi chose those whatever you want to call them, what are they, the Rat Pack? Ilhan Omar and AOC, they had like a name for when they came in. Anyway, now they're representatives, which they should be.
I forgot the name. I know what you're talking about.
Right?
That was like so 25 years ago.
1,000 years ago.
Yes.
The Squad.
Yes,
okay.
The Squad. Yeah.
So I thought once another example of Pelosi's brilliance is when she gave them great committees to sit on and let them shine, and they are shining. And so it's a great opportunity for women of all ages to see these young, brilliant women have opportunities, and she bridged the gap. So we don't want a culture war at our freaking party. That's their game, And so I'm a big Pelosi fan. Anybody who's still doing what she's doing with her cojones, shall I say, gets a big virtual hug from me.
What about Andy Cohen?
I'm sorry, are you just catching up on emails?
No, I'm trying to tell my child to come get the dog. The dog got into the kitchen. Come here. Oh, there she is. Come here, Sapphire.
Sapphire, good girl. Sapphire, sit. Good girl. Mommy loves you, Sapphire.
I'm texting. She brought her back here. Can you hold it? She fell off a horse today, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, my poor baby. Say hi."
Why would you put your dog on a horse?
No, my daughter.
Sorry. What's your daughter's name?
This is Grace. Grace, say hello.
Grace, say hello to a real celebrity. Oh. It's me, Kathy Griffin, from the TV.
Grace, say hi.
Hi, Grace.
See, she fell off a horse today. She had a clinic, and so she's. Bye, Grace. I'm going to take care of you. I put her in an Epsom salt bath, and I took care of my baby.
Grace, honey, Sue, you could own that house. You can own that house in a month. I have excellent lawyers. I just try to stir things up.
Andy Cohen, and she gave me the dog.
I thought that was a whip. I thought me talking about my Mitch McConnell.
You have a lot of sexual aggression you have to work out, it sounds like. I got something for you then. And
what?
And the next portion is going to be for adults only. All right. So Andy Cohen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the great thing about Andy Cohen is I think like you can kind of see his deal. I will say it's amazing to me. No one's ever done a journalistic piece about this is the first guy in the history of television who decides the slate, decides what shows go on that network, who gives himself a show that gets picked up every year. Anybody? And also, I've said this publicly. If he has a skill, I'd love to hear it. Anybody? Okay, I guess reading fake Twitter questions is a skill, but I call people out, and it's certain. I think I have the right to put my dukes up and have a little something to say about that one, and so my days of male executives, once again, gay or straight, you get those middle-aged white guys, and they will keep a woman down. This is a guy who built a franchise, The Real Housewives, based on making middle-aged women look horrible. I don't know any women like that in real life. I don't know about you, but when I go out with my girlfriends for dinner, we don't end up like pulling each other's weave out and then have to like cry and make up while we're drunk later. So I don't think it's a very fair depiction of women. And
but there's a lot of cattiness, and I think it's cattiness on steroids.
Well, I just, and I don't like it coming from a middle-aged white guy. I just don't. Like, you don't know our experience. You don't know how to cast real life. You don't, And so I think that's one of those things that started off being sort of fun, guilty pleasure. And as those shows went on, I was like, I don't know if that's really good for women at all. I don't think it's good for entertainment necessarily. And, having a little juicy fun is great. But then when it goes on and on, you might be raising a generation of people who think that's what women are like, or it's okay to behave that way, or you don't strive for anything better, or don't have anything aspirational beyond material things. So, there's a whole thing. As the great Gloria Steinem said to me, I asked her one time, I go, what's been worse for the women's movement, the Kardashians or the Housewives? And she goes, oh, the Housewives for sure. And I go, not the Kardashians? And Steinem goes, well, at least on the Kardashians, they have interracial relationships. I was like, oh, we have a winner. So
okay.
When you're down in the mud like I am, April, that's a serious debate.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. Barack Obama.
Who?
Barack Hussein Obama.
I mean, where do we get more of those? All right, let's put that guy and clone that guy. I often think, I'm sure you know him. I often think, what is this like for him when he's alone or with trusted friends? I don't know how he doesn't go crazy. I mean, all the progress he was able to make with the resistance of, like I said, the Boehner or whoever was trying to stop him at the moment. I love his positive attitude. It's kind of amazing to watch that he goes through this with grace that I don't possess, nor do I need to. I love him. I think he's great. A true role model. And clean as a whistle. Not one scandal. Not one.
Donald Trump.
Look, I don't even want to give him the satisfaction of saying he's dangerous. He's just special needs. Is that on the table? Too far? Anyway, I wish I could speak of him in the way that Cooley McEnhoody does. But
wait a minute, what? What's that name?
What's her name? Kiki McEnhoody? Anyway, the one who's unfortunately going to get fired when West Virginia comes up with the bikini that glitters, and then she's the press secretary. You mark my words, April Ryan. Someday you're going to virtually ask a girl in a bikini who was Miss West Virginia, those pageants, questions about the president. But, he just has to go. And I don't just mean marginalized. I mean, he really, don't call me Secret Service. I can speak in metaphor. Do you like how I look around? Anyway, I think that it's important to understand where he's coming from, meaning this is a guy that I know personally not to be bright at all. I don't think he can read a Dick and Jane book or do even the basic multiplication tables. By the way, can I tell you the question I've always wanted you to ask him?
What?
Can you just get him to name state capitals? Like let's just do a baseline. Can you, throughout the states, or how about national ones? Like, do you think he knows that Bucharest
Name
is the
the
capital
prior
of Romania?
presidents. Name the prior presidents. That's all you got to do right there.
Okay, but he might come up with Obama.
He knows Obama down.
He has a problem
Obama
with him.
Is it.
Before that, he's lost.
He doesn't know who.
Right.
I bet you don't know who Jimmy Carter is. I bet you. He says,
oh, no. Oh, by the way, little fun gossip. You should know Jimmy Carter is my bucket list. So if I can sleep with Jimmy Carter before I die, then what happened? What happened?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to be his Habitat for Humanity.
You want to habitate? You want? Wait a minute. You want?
I want to be his. I want him to habitate my humanity. Get it?
So okay. So
Rosalind,
this is for grown folks. As she's puffing. What's your favorite sex position?
Okay, hear me out, because I'm going to get a beat down for this. I think well done missionary ultimately wins. You heard me. Now, we can get into the sideways and the positions and all that. You know, some of them involve more lube than others, just so I don't get a UTI. But let me tell you, if you get a man who knows how to really do missionary well, it's a whole new ballgame. You know, there's the guys that phone in missionary, and then there's the guys that want to spin you like a top. And, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm at the ER for my latest UTI. So I think, you know, keep it simple. Back to basics. Back to basics. Let's have, you know, a rule of law that maybe the president also is accountable for. Let's have a guy who knows how to work missionary position. It's all the same. It's all the same in the chaos blender. Did I make you speechless?
That's a lot for me.
You have the vapors? Do you have the
I
vapors?
got the vapors. Don't say that, because I had somebody say that I had the vapors, and they tried to act like they didn't have the vapors, and they had the vapors, and now it's like whatever. So anyway, what's your favorite junk food?
Wow, where do we start? I mean, I believe that donuts are a food group unto themselves. I'm a little bit of a snob. I like to be hot out of the fryer, and so I would say it's pretty hard to beat a nice hot donut.
A nice hot donut. That's sexual. It sounds a nice hot donut.
That's what I call Jimmy Carter. My hot donut.
Mm.
That's right, Rosalind. You heard me. Do it for the country.
While they're habitating the humanity
of this lady right here. And my Secret Garden. Remember that book, The Secret Garden? Did you read that book?
I heard the song.
Remember The Innocents, where we would talk about a naughty book like The Secret Garden for 6 months? Nobody have time for that now. We've got all kinds of heresy going on. Heresy, I say.
Yeah. Who are some of your best friends that are celebrities?
I am. It's funny because I always say to my celebrities, like, it's okay if you don't associate yourself with me, because this is not going to be good. But I'm very, very fond of everybody from Stevie Nicks, who's reached out to me, you know, at times and kind of, you know, she's a special person. And who
was that again? I'm sorry. One of my friends tried to call me because they knew I was on the phone with you. Go ahead. What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I said Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, she's cool and she's sweet. Sia, the singer Sia, we talk a lot, and she's a good pal. You know, I've been lucky enough to have some celebrity friends that are actually like kind of legit, or they have areas that they understand that life is more than being an actor or a comic. And so I relish those relationships, you know, and like I said, being around for a while, I understand the phase you go when you're newly famous. And I always say there's nothing more insufferable than the newly famous, because they think it's going to be around forever and all this stuff. And then you kind of have the legends. And I am certainly more attracted to the older legends because they've been around the block. And if they're willing to indulge me, I'm just like, you know, so like you mentioned Joan Rivers. Obviously, we spent a lot of time together. The late, great Don Rickles. You know, I cherish my time with him. The one and only Sidney Poitier.
Oh, yes.
Who is the greatest laugher ever. And
guess who's coming to dinner?
Yeah. Oh, I made him sign that in my like guest book.
And Uptown Saturday Night.
Yeah.
He and Bill Cosby.
Pryor.
Was it Pryor? Okay.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, when I meet one of those legends and they allow me to ask anything, you know, Sydney came over one night, and I just thought, if I don't ask him about Mandela at some point, and he told me about the first time he met Mandela. He was researching the film where he would play Mandela, and he went to see him in prison in South Africa, and he talked about how the prison, whether it was the guard or whomever it was, talked about how he, even though Mandela was incarcerated, still within the prison, he got so much respect that he was hailed as the leader he was, and that Sydney they didn't know who he was. So Sydney had to explain and sort of earn the right to even go in and visit with Mandela. And he talked about that. And so, hey, if you can get a legend, or frankly, just anyone who's just done a lot of living, ask them those questions. find out, learn from them.
That's
you know,
true.
and it's nice. You know, it's nice when those folks are willing to open up. And I try to be sensitive to, oh gosh, have you been asked about this a million times?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bored with you because most of my friends are about 90 or older. And you know, until you're 90,
I'm 52,
really
turning 53, so you know what? It's all good. But I last
you're
longer.
a teenager, I tell you, a teenager.
I last longer.
Sapphire.
I last
Dinner,
longer.
Sapphire.
So also we have been free. People are saying that I was right. It was Bill Cosby. It wasn't Richard Pryor in Uptown Saturday Night. So it's okay. You get a pass. You're still invited to the cookout, but you get a pass.
I'm on the bubble. I'm on the bubble.
Yeah. As long as you don't bring that crazy raisin salad thing coming. So but we could. Now we are free during COVID. How free have you been? How many times have you walked around braless? This is for the ladies.
Braless? You're lucky I'm wearing pants. I mean, it's basically a nudist camp. It's an enclosed nudist camp here at my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm clothing optional most of the time. And so, yeah, I'm all about, and you know, my boobs are real. So they're not like the fake Hollywood boobs. So, you know, when I go to bed, they're underneath my armpits where they belong. Okay? There are a couple of flapjacks when I'm hungry. I can play highlight. You know, there's a lot of sporting activities I can do just with my real boobs. And they're versatile. They can go over my shoulder if I'm busy. And so, yes, COVID, if nothing else, use this opportunity to celebrate who you really are. Okay? Makeup free, clothing free, keep an open mind. Just pay attention, damn it.
All right. So I need you to finish this sentence. I am best when
I can make people laugh. Easy. When I can make people laugh. It's my favorite. Comedy is, in a way, my religion. Although I'm a believer. I have a higher power. Her name is Chairwoman Maxine Waters. I pray to Maxine Waters every day on my knees where I belong. And yet comedy has been there for me in a way that not even people have been, you know, or a person. And so I'm just really grateful that regardless of what anybody is going through, I'm going through anything, I will always find some kind of an outlet to make you laugh, you know, maybe shock you a little bit. But my favorite kind of a laugh is sort of, that's my favorite kind of laugh. Like you're caught watching something naughty and you can't stop laughing.
My cheeks have been hurting all night because I'm trying to be professional. I'm trying to hold it in, but daggone it, this is
good luck. Remember the time you caught the altercation between me and Jason Miller?
Oh,
remember after he knocked up that poor AJ Delgado, and he was still married, and then I ran into him at that White House Correspondents' Dinner. By the way, I'll never be invited again. You're welcome, America.
Oh, we weren't going to go this year, but go ahead.
No, although maybe they'll have it outdoors. Did you hear that the RNs, they want to have the convention outside now?
Anyway, moving on. That's
okay.
Everybody's opening their mouths. Particles. Go ahead. Yeah.
Particles shedding. And so, yeah, so I was very, very excited you were there for that moment. I got into so many fights that night. It was heaven. It was, I mean, you were
on fire. You were on fire. And I remember Don Jr. got upset that you came. They were going after me because I talked to you. I'm like, whatever.
Don Jr., you mean, who we now know was arrested on Hillary Street of all ways. By the way, I could read that arrest record all day. I was up all night. I was so giddy like a schoolgirl because that one came after me almost more than anybody else in that, whatever they are, I guess, family. And, you know, it's insane that Don Jr. was like a thing, that people have legitimized him in any way or think that they have to like answer to him. And the people would go to a rally with Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle headlining. I don't understand that. What's her name? Let's just call her Kimberly. Anyway, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with those.
Girlfriends got COVID. Kids. Girlfriends got COVID.
Oh, well. Is that terrible? Hell in a handbasket. I know. Hell in a handbasket. I know.
Ooh. And
but we're in an era where it almost feels like some of the deniers have to get it. So at least they can go, oh, this thing is real. I'm going to tell all my fellow Nazis it's real.
But did you see Herman Cain in Tulsa hanging out, dancing to Michael Jackson? And now hospitalized with
yeah. So let's see what he does. Let's see if he at least can go on Fox or OAN, which I can't believe OAN's a thing. I mean, I hadn't even heard of it until now. But yeah, let's see. I in a dark way and twisted way, I gotta kind of hope one of these right wingers that gets COVID kind of comes out of that fog and says, "Oh, it's not a hoax," and that's the responsibility. They have to do it. This is it, folks. You know.
Mm. And my last question. This has been such a wonderful hour with you. We need to hear your voice. And before I ask the question, what is the name of the show that they need to stream with you again?
Kathy Griffin, Hell of a Story, feature film, award-winning, available in 62 countries on Amazon Prime or, you know, Apple. You can find it. Look it up on the Google machine.
Go Google
and
it.
Laugh.
So, and my last question of you, my only regret is?
Oh, I didn't take the gig when they were doing the daytime version of not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, The Weakest Link. Yeah, I have regrets because I don't like these people that I have no regrets. I was such an a-hole that, like, when I was offered that gig, I was like, I can't be a legitimate comedian if I'm hosting a game show. The money was great. Remember that lady that would go, goodbye? Remember the redhead chick? She'd go, goodbye. Mm-hmm. And so they offered me the daytime version. I didn't take it. So that's one of my regrets. Mm-hmm. Did you think it was going to be like a high and mighty moral issue?
Yeah.
It's funny.
But you know what? And before Instagram turns me off, I want to say thank you. This has been a wonderful hour. My face hurts. Like
but
my
I've done my
daughter's
job.
Side hurts her stomach. She doesn't have a broken rib. The child fell off a horse. Whew. Praise God. She doesn't have it. She's just sore. But guys, this has been a wonderful hour. And Kathy, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for your strength. Thank you for telling the truth. You were one of the first people who started talking and speaking the truth about what we're seeing now. And a lot of us didn't listen. We kind of put a lot of things to the side. And now we got what we asked for.
Everybody wants the mask now, baby. But yeah, I like to say I was ahead of my time. Huh?
And you're not old yet. You're not old.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sapphire, sit.
Sapphire's right here. She's looking too. I appreciate you with all the dog collar and everything.
I love you. And I thank you for just being you and all your work and your friendship. And you're a special person and everybody knows it.
Oh, you're a special person and you look amazing. And we're going to support you. We want to see you out there more. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Peace, everyone.
Bye, Sapphire. My lunch is Sapphire.
COVID Conversations over and out with Kathy Griffin. Be good, guys. Bye, Kathy. Tonight.
Don't be scared, be ready. Fate ain't holding you steady. Don't regret where you headed. Who let it go there? I could run 1,000 in your shoes and be nowhere. Addiction to a sin of destruction don't get you nothing but stuff. Thinking what's the cause of your struggle, then the goal of your hustle. While you live how you living with feeling your soul is trouble. Dependent upon deception is power greater than meaning. Faith, knowledge, and wisdom is power greater than any. Still clear to me to see how you feel like you need it. Tomorrow promise to be here. You ain't promised to see it. It's you. Easily we forget not to stress what's ahead. Probably following everybody living till they dead. And yeah, I can show you about the flower, I show you about the gutter, I show you about the top, I show you about the G, I show you about the scene. Let me put you on game, let me put you on game.